when you're developing games, there's different consoles that you can develop for. Right now, Senga, which is a takeoff on Sega, is releasing a new console. So every time a new console is released, you go to a press conference. It's a little bit annoying. You just gotta tap your way through it. Today we would like to announce our new console, the Exodus, a takeoff on the Sega Genesis. We will be releasing lots of fun games. Hooray! Stay tuned, everyone. The initial shipment is planned to be 990,000 units. Okay, so that's a fairly important point. The different consoles will have different market shares and different amount of install base. So if you're developing for a console that has, say, 3 million units on the market, you're going to be selling more copies of your games, which is going to be making you more money. So it's going to cost you more money to develop for this company because they're in higher demand, but it'll yield you more sales. So it's always good to develop for a company that has more consoles on the market. Alright, so you can see here my fiscal year just ended. It's year 2, month 3, week 4. So the fiscal year will always end on month 3, week 4. Well, I guess it's really month 4, week 1, as it's the end of week 4 here. When that happens, you need to pay your employees, as I said before. But the first year is always paid by the government, so you don't have to worry about that. Alright, and here's another sort of random event that happens in the game. He is a salesman. He sells some pretty important things. I guess they're not that important, but they're really handy when you get a little bit later in the game. Okay, so let's see what he's got here. Okay, he says boost items require research data to use, but can be used any number of times, as long as you have enough research data to use them. So you can see here, I can buy a fun boost, a creativity boost, graphics boost, and a sound boost. Right now they all cost $200,000 each, but each time you buy something, the next one's going to cost more. Alright, there's bug spray, which I actually never buy. I find there's no need to. When you develop a video game, you develop bugs as well, and once you're done developing the game, the last step is to debug the game, which will take a minute or so. And this just helps it go faster, but you have to use research data to do it, and I don't like wasting research data on that because it does it itself. It just takes, a few seconds longer. So I suggest not buying it. You can come up with your own strategy on how you want to do things, though. I'm just giving you some pointers from my point of view. Okay, self-help book. I usually pick this up about maybe 9 or 10 years in, once I'm in the third office. We'll get to that a little bit later. But it helps you develop more research points for your games. Deadbolt. This is super handy. It's just Red Bull for your employees. When you use one, all your employees' energy and power go up back to full, and they're happy, and they're getting you more research data. So it's pretty handy. Career change manual. This you don't need to use until much later in the game. At least when I use it, I don't use it till later. You use it to change the career of any of your employees. As you know, one of them was a coder. Maybe you want to change him to a sound engineer or a writer. You can do that with this. Alright, so each time the salesman comes, he can only buy 3 things, and then he goes away. He comes back next year. Alright, I got another Game Guy magazine. I'll read what it says here for you, because this is some pretty good stuff here that you should know. We here at Game Guy magazine have recently succeeded in interviewing a famous game developer. According to him, the best way to increase the number of game types you have available is to train your employees. Your employees' job types and levels also affect the type of games that they can discover. From what we understand, scenario writers are particularly good at discovering a new game types, so you may want to try training yours. Alright, so now let's develop a game. So you go to develop and then new game, and here's your secretary again. She says, now we will come up with a proposal for the new game. You can change the genre and type by pressing the OK key. Alright, so right now, this is basically what our game is here. it starts off as a PC game. The genre is a table game, and the type of game is pirate. So imagine this as maybe a video game that is sort of like a board game, and it's pirate themed. Essentially, that's what it is. Direction is a little bit more complicated, but you generally want to start with normal. So here, why don't we click on genre? So you can see I've played this game several times, and the stats carry over from each game. If you just started a game, all your levels are going to be at 0, and you're just going to have to choose from those. There's only a few here. I'm not sure if you start with all of these, but you can see what I have here. I have table, adventure, racing, trivia, puzzle, and educational. So the popularity, as you can see, is mostly C's and 1B. There's also A's for the more popular ones, but right now it's the beginning of the game, and we don't have that yet. Everything that you set for your game has a certain cost to it. As you can see, table only costs 20,000, whereas racing costs 80,000. So choose whichever one you want. At this point in the game, it doesn't really matter. Whatever you think would be a fun, interesting game to make, just choose it. So we're going to click on type and see what we have in here. I started off already with 2 pages. It goes up to several pages later in the game. So here you have the same thing, popularity, C's and B's. I have a bunch of level 5s, but you'll be starting with level 0s. And we got pirate, animal, robot, historical, ninja, reversey, golf, and marathon. Alright, so if we go on to direction, I will tell you what these mean here. Normal is just normal development time. You get the basic budget, basic time, nothing really special about it. It's a good way to start. You don't want to rush your employees or anything. They're still amateurs. And if we go to speed, it emphasizes speed. Don't worry about quality. So if you use this direction here, you'll be able to develop more games within the year, but it's going to cost you more. As you see, it says plus 20%. Your development cost is going to be 20% higher. Quality, it can be slower, but breakthroughs are more likely, as it says. So if you're developing with this, every once in a while, your employees will have a breakthrough, and all of your game stat points are going to jump up a few points, which is great, actually, but as I said, you should probably start on normal, but we'll just cover the rest of these here. Research. This is the one I like to use a lot, because it gains you more research data. It says focus on research data, perfect for training staff. So maybe a couple years down the road, you'll be using this, and your staff will be training very well and doing a really good job developing good games for you, and gaining you lots of research data, which I can't stress enough is very important. You don't want to waste it on little things, which we'll get to a little bit later. And budget, it eases burden on staff and gets you speed and quality. But as you can see, it's 100%, so your development cost is going to double when you use that. Once I have, maybe $50 million in my reserve, that's the kind of thing I will be constantly using. Okay. So the console, right now there's 3 consoles on the market. The first one being PC, the second one the Microx SX, and the third one the Exodus, which we just saw was released. And you can see the PC has a 21% market share, 21% that is, and the Microx has a 37%, and the Exodus has a 41%. Right now, you have to develop for PC because you're inexperienced, you haven't developed a game yet, so the other people won't let you get a license for their console. So let's just stick with PC for now. So we're going to develop a PC puzzle animal game, and we're going to leave it on normal.